Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new here. My name is Cody. I am a writer, and today's vlog is all about a week in my life as an indie author. Now, to kick off this video, I need to sort of preface with a bit of a story. So literally, I think it was last Thursday, it was like 11 p.m. at night. I got a text from one of my friends. Her name is Meredith. It was like, hey, one of my friends knows the owner of this brewery here in town. They're gonna be hosting like a Scholastic book fair, but for adults, it's gonna be at this brewery. They're gonna have like, I think they said 13 authors, 14 if you include a little someone that you might know. The event is August 9th here in Memphis. It is going to be over at Soul and Spirits. So if you want to stop on by and say hello, then I'll be there from, I think it's like 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time. So if you're in the area, come say hey. But one funny thing about this entire situation is the fact that I have never actually done an author event before. So I am incredibly underprepared, or at least I was, because I actually, in the last week or so since I got that message, I have been sort of upping my game with having some marketing things on hand, like bookmarks, stuff like that. If you watch my last video, you know that I am starting a TikTok shop, and so I'm going to be selling books out of the house, which means that I need shipping materials. I need some sort of way of printing shipping labels and, you know, getting them onto the books that I'm shipping out. I need actual stock of books. So there's a whole lot that goes into this. And so how about I just show you the things that I've gotten so far? Okay, so the first thing that I got was I got this little thing, you know, where you can attach it to your phone, plug it into your phone, and use it to take card payments, because if I'm going to be selling books in person at a book event, I would like to have as many payment options available for anyone that's going to be there. So I'll be able to do card, cash, Venmo, Cash App. All of my bases will mostly be covered. And this thing was literally like 10 bucks. So, and it had like a bunch of really, really great reviews saying how easy it was to set up. We'll try it out. And if it doesn't work, then, you know, it's 10 bucks, you know. Next thing that I got, these are the little shippers that I got. They're black bubble wrap shippers for, you know, sending some books out. Some more red tissue paper to wrap the books in before putting them into the bubble wrap shippers. This box, I'm not going to open this, but it's literally full of shipping labels. I don't know how many I got. Oh, it's 500 labels, if I could just read. And in this box, I haven't opened it yet. I'll probably open it in a future vlog whenever I actually have like books in stock. This is going to be the label printer that I got to go along with the shipping labels. So yeah, there's a couple other things that I still need to get. This is pretty much everything that I need to sell books out of the house. The only thing missing now is books, but for good reason. So I went on IngramSpark and I was just, you know, fiddling around with the system to see what it would cost to get about 100 books shipped, some for the book event and then some to stock the TikTok shop. Previously, when I did it, the more like copies you bought, the cheaper it made the printing cost and the shipping cost. But this time it was the exact opposite. The printing cost did not change at all, and the shipping only went up. And I was like, wait, this is incredibly expensive and ridiculous. So my solution to this problem was uploading my paperback into KDP, where I already have my ebook uploaded. Amazon's print cost per book was almost like a whole $1 less per book, and their shipping was like half the cost of what IngramSpark's was. So I have that set up. I do have a proof on the way. It should be here tomorrow, because I wanted to order at least one proof so I could look at it and make sure that it looks as good of quality as the IngramSpark copies before I make my final decision and order the bulk order of copies from wherever I decide. But you'll get to see that whole decision-making process because you're going to be here with me all the way through Thursday. So Monday, which is today, my one thing on the schedule for my week in the life of being an indie author is I am actually about to sit down and record a podcast with the one and only Michaela. She is Mick Writes here on YouTube. Like a month ago, she reached out and asked me if I wanted to be a featured indie author on her podcast, Pen to Pod. And I was like, yes, absolutely, sign me up. I am about to sit down and get ready for this podcast with Michaela, and I will check in with you after. Okay, now we have some things we have got to do. Hello. It is officially the next night. It is Tuesday, and a little update from last night. The podcast interview with Mick went wonderfully. We just literally, it felt like we were just sitting down and yapping and just the best time, and I had so much fun. Remember yesterday whenever I mentioned that I was wanting to order books tonight, but I needed to wait for my proof copy to come in so I could see what the book looks like? Well, look what came in today. So we are literally about to open it right now, and we're going to compare it with the printed version from IngramSpark. Are you ready? Here we go. Ooh. Okay. far as front cover, I believe this one is Amazon, this one is IngramSpark. It does look like there is a very slight color difference. The only thing that I don't like about this is the fact that this showed up to me with a bent corner. Okay, this is what the inside page looks like with the skull printed. I mean, pretty similar. This one is IngramSpark, this one is Amazon KDP. I mean, they look pretty much identical. I think the color of the page on this one is slightly darker. Okay, so that's the top margin for KDP. And that is the top margin for IngramSpark. Am I crazy? Is that like slightly like different? Okay, maybe I am correct about the margins, because if you notice on the spines, they don't exactly line up. So this one is the KDP and it has a slightly smaller top margin than this one does. But it's got a larger bottom margin than this one. But these are all interesting things to see. I'm glad that I have a copy from both so I can literally compare. When you have two pictures side by side, you have to spot the difference. I'm like playing that game with my own book. How fun is that? I think that this is excellent quality, minus my little dinged up corner right here. So I'm just gonna hope that whenever they ship them in bulk, that they have them wrapped up a little bit better. They'll be in like a sturdy box. They won't be in a flimsy bag bubble mailer. I mean, what is this protecting? This is like one-ply toilet paper for shipping. What is this? So now that we have figured that out, I think what I'm going to be doing is I think that I'm gonna order about 100 copies. Like my first author event, I'm kind of, you know, not kind of, I am freaking out, but it's fine. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. This is gonna be a great learning experience. That's what I'm telling myself, to not stress out so much about it. This is going to be a wonderful, wonderful learning experience. Even if everything goes wrong on the day of, if I can't get my card reader to swipe, or I run out of change, no matter what happens on the day of, the entire day is going to be a learning experience. All the book events that I do after that will be better because they won't be my first one. And so that's just so exciting. I feel like I'm catching them all. I'm catching all the indie author experiences and it's so cool. And like this one literally like fell into my lap. Whoever made that happen, thank you. I'm going to place my bulk order for these books and make sure that they will be delivered on time for the book event, because I think it's in like 2 weeks. Schedule them to be delivered by the time me and Clark get back from LA. Oh, that's another fun thing that I'm doing this month. Me and Clark are going to LA for a long weekend. We leave on Saturday and we don't come back until the following Tuesday. And yeah, we're going just to have a good time. I've never been to LA. Clark used to go to school there, used to live there, so he's gonna show me around. We're gonna go to a Lady Gaga concert, so excited about that. But with that said, I am going to sit here probably for the next like hour or so, and I'm going to work on putting together some like, you know, graphics or flyers to have setting on the table for the author event. Get these books ordered, and I'll see you at some point later on. Hi, hello, and welcome to a brand new series on this channel that I like to call the Cozy Crash Out. We'll workshop the name, but basically this new segment that I'm going to be adding into my vlogs is just going to be a place where I sit and I yap about my Roman Empire for the week, the thing that I have been contemplating on, my contemplation fixation, if you will. On my last video that I posted, so many of you guys were raving in the comments about how much you've been loving the yap content, you love the podcast style content, so I'm gonna just give you more of that. Me and Clark are going to LA for a concert on Saturday. It is currently Thursday, and I was like, Cody, you've been doing this writing vlog all week and you really haven't done any writing, which I guess is totally fine, because I mean, the whole point of this writing vlog is to kind of show you a little bit of behind the scenes of one, preparing for my very first book event, which is something that is totally scary. And so I've just been, you know, thinking about that. I had a little snafu as far as, you know, shipping goes. Whenever I ordered my books on Amazon, it said they would be delivered Monday, August 4th. But then when I actually placed the order, it switched to potentially being delivered after August 9th, which the book event is on August 9th. So obviously that was not going to work for me. In a last minute decision, I had to cancel that order, and I ended up having to go back to IngramSpark, even though it was more expensive to get the the books printed and shipped. They were the only ones that were able to get my books shipped to me before the book event. So, you know, sometimes you just have to make the decision, bite the bullet, and just, it's fine. It's fine. The topic, or I guess the big theme that I want for this contemplation fixation, this cozy crash out, is knowing too much and how it can kill your creativity. Now, if you are already a follower over on my Substack, you probably saw that I have already posted my thoughts on this topic. So if you would rather consume my yap thoughts in written format, I do have a free Substack. The link is in the description below, so feel free to come and subscribe. That's where I'm going to be posting. I've decided to start a new thing where every Thursday I post my thoughts, whatever thoughts that I have, and doing that on Substack is actually what inspired having this little segment here on YouTube. So this is the way for me to share those same thoughts, but in video format. So last night, me and Taylor actually did end up sitting down to do a little bit of writing, and mostly that time that we spent together was spent laughing and yapping about our stories. We're sharing ideas that we've come up with for our current work in progress, as well as some, you know, ideas that we have for potentially new works in progress. And it was just so much freaking fun. I guess in the moment, I didn't realize how much I really needed a sit down, creative, bounce ideas back and forth, yes, and each other kind of moment. It reinvigorated something in me that I've been trying to sort of find all week. If you don't know, with Project Purple, I have been kind of tinkering around with the first chapter because before we actually get to this big challenge that I'm doing at the end of the year, I want to sort of go into it already kind of knowing the prose that I want, the POV that I want. I want to kind of nail down those aspects of the writing. That way I can have all of those locked in, and then from there I can just tell the story. This fantasy is what I would consider the book of my heart, and it is one that, I mean, because I've had this idea for this story since I was 13. It has grown and evolved with me. Luca, the main character, he started off being 14 in the book, and now he is mid to late 20s, same age as me. And so just like I've grown up and experienced so much, Luca has grown up and experienced so much with me. I've reached the point in my life where I truly feel like I'm ready to tell this story, but because I've been holding on to it for so long, I almost don't trust myself to write it, because I'm like, wait, but what if I'm not ready? What if I'm not capable of telling this story yet? And starting it now would just be a waste of time. Like, there is no ready. I am as prepared as I feel I can be. I've done world building. I've done an outline. I've done character work. I have character spreadsheets. I've, you know, revised my outline like 3 or 4 times. And so I've been constantly doing work at improving this, in hoping that there would be this magical moment where my brain would be like, oh, and you are officially ready to write this story, and I'm off to the races. But that has just not been the case. And like I mentioned in my Substack post, the title of the post is literally, I know too much and it's killing my creativity. If you are in any kind of writing space, from the second you log on, you are inundated with tips and advice on what you should do, what you can do, what you shouldn't do. And then there are, you know, prolific authors. For example, in the fantasy sci-fi realm, there's Brandon Sanderson, who literally has lecture series on writing fantasy and sci-fi. And there are books out. There are these videos that tell you, you know, the ways that you should be marketing, the way that you should be writing, the tropes that you should include, so that you are making sure that there is a market for the book whenever you're finished with it. And let me tell you something. I am so freaking over it. I'm over it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if my story doesn't fit into one specific story structure. I don't care if my characters don't fit the mold, if their arcs don't fit the mold that they should. I don't care about word count. I don't care about any of it. All I care about is telling the story of my heart, creating this redemption arc for these characters that I have come up with that are pieces of my literal soul. And I just want to do them justice. I just want to tell their story. I want to show you their perseverance from start to finish. I want you to get swept up in this world with these characters and just turn your brain off for a little bit, go on an epic ass journey. And when you make it to the end of the book, you say, wow, that was fun. Let's do it again. That's all I care about. If I took half the time that I have recently spent on just like, you know, marketing and studying plot structure and studying all these things, while yes, I feel like you should know those tools, I don't feel like you should ever get to a point where you become reliant on this advice, you follow it to a T, you never break these rules, because at that point, that is just so stifling to your creativity. It takes all the fun out of it, because at that point, you are just a cog in the system following a formula that has been done countless times, and I'm sorry, but that is not the path that I want to take with my writing. I want to explore these things that I've dealt with in my life. I want to dive into these worlds that give me a break from the world that I currently live in. I want to create these characters that I want to hang out with. This fantasy story is the fantasy story that I wished I could have seen on TV, or I could have read whenever I was, coming of age and learning who I was as a person. This is going to be the epic, magical fantasy series with queer representation and bonds of friendships that are so strong that it brings them to the same war at the end of the story. I am making this vow to you all right now. I am also promising myself that this first draft will be messy. It will be imperfect. It will be gut-wrenching. It will be fun. It will be exciting. It will be all of these things. But the one thing that it will not be is perfect, and that is okay. I feel so much better, don't you? So I guess I'm going to wrap up the video here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video in any capacity, I would love it if you could interact with it in some way, whether that be liking it, leaving a comment, text your friend and ask them, hey, are you in the mood for a good crash out? Because I know a guy. Seeing all of your lovely comments and seeing how much you just live for the chaotic yaps really just make my day, because that's what I do best. And if y'all like that, listen, unlimited material up here, okay? With all that out of the way, I love you guys so, so much. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week with a new video. Bye.